Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
7:07, it's O'Connor and Company here on this 23rd day of December. Some like to call it Christmas Eve, but I find that tedious. Oh, sorry.
Christmas Eve. Happy Christmas Eve. That's okay.
All right. Coming up at 7:35, Michael McDonald from the Catholic League about HOAs hating on the baby Jesus. 8:05 brings us Steve Moore, economist extraordinaire. And at 8:35, Carla Andrasik, wife of John Andrasik of Five for Fighting fame. She's got a brand new book out that's worth your attention. It might just be perfect after your holiday stress. It's called Stop Trying. That's Patrice Onwuka on this Christmas Eve. Good morning, Patrice.
Good morning, Larry. Good morning, everybody.
And joining us right now is the Grand Poobah and President of Media Research Center, David Bozell. Talk about, I love that you guys at this time of year come out with all your year-end studies and report cards. So thanks for doing that, David.
No worries. Merry Christmas, you guys.
Merry Christmas. You know, we talked about your report out of Newsbusters yesterday that sort of analyzed all the guests and all of the jokes at the late-night comedy shows, of course, not including Greg Gutfeld's show. And the numbers are astounding, especially the guest bookings. 99% of the guests were liberal. That's remarkable. And
right.
I don't think any of us are surprised, but it's just so overwhelming.
Yeah, it's basically, if you ever wanted to know what blue sky looked like on television, just plug into The View or plug into Colbert or Kimmel. 7,000 jokes against President Trump alone. I mean, it's a miracle. I mean, I just saw a Newsweek's report suggesting that Trump had a bump in his approval rating. It's back up to 49.5.
Yeah, we just talked about
and that's good for him. It's a miracle he's that high with the 99% negative. I mean, he's 92% negative with the news media, and all the jokes are 92% negative against him. So he can't get a break.
David, to be fair, I mean, they are very equal opportunity over there on those shows. When Joe Biden was in the White House, they did about as many jokes about Donald Trump during that time as well.
Right. It's exactly right. And the conservative guests, if you want to call them that, are obviously few and far between. One was Cheryl Hines, RFK's wife, and the other one was Marjorie Taylor Greene, who's just invited for the sole purpose of dogging President Trump. So he just can't get a break. This administration can't get a break. Now, they're big boys; they can handle it. But it is kudos to them for even having an approval rating somewhere in the 40s with all this negativity against them.
Yeah, I mean, it's not surprising, David. Especially when we look at the show like The View that's supposed to focus on women in America and their perspectives. The fact that did your research even find any coverage of women in the Trump administration? So many high-level key women who are holding cabinet-level positions. Don't need to compare it to the Biden administration, but certainly holding their own, including Susie Wiles as the president's right-hand woman. I mean, was that even mentioned or covered in your research from The View?
No guest appearance by Susie Wiles, Caroline Leavitt, Pam Bondi, Christine Noem. The list goes on and on of women who are holding very important positions in the United States government, and no appearances by any of them. Now, were they invited and we just don't know it? Maybe. We're not sure. But they did not make an appearance. And I guess why would they go on, right? I mean, why go on and just get, I called The View the Cackle, which I think is a more appropriate name. Why go on and get dogged by these women for an hour? I mean, it just doesn't seem like a very good use of time and energy. But look, they're not afraid to go on any of these shows. And I mean, you just saw Susie Wiles sit down for 11 interviews with Vanity Fair of all things. So they're not afraid to do any of these things. I mean, the president himself goes on all these liberal networks. I mean, his first interview as President-elect 2.0 was with Meet the Press.
Yeah, more's the pity.
It's a good market. It's a good market to set down for his team and his staff. Don't be afraid of these guys. Go into the lion's den and get your message across. But I reiterate, a lot of people on the conservative side are kind of, being panicking here. So what's going to happen with the president? Why are his numbers down? Well, they're back up, and B, he's undergoing an onslaught from both the news and infotainment media.
We're speaking with David Bozell, Media Research Center. And, listen, unlike Jimmy Kimmel over there on ABC, The View actually falls under their news umbrella. That's a news show. People have to understand.
Yeah.
And that sort of raises a lot of questions with regard to the fact that they are also a broadcast network, which means all of the affiliate stations in every community around the country that carries ABC network programming, they have to file for an FCC license. And with that license comes an obligation to serve the community. So, one of the biggest media stories of the year was Brendan Carr, the chairman of the FCC, being rather outspoken about actually enforcing those rules to make sure that there's some modicum of respect given to half of this nation's political ideas. How do you think that's all going to sort out in the end?
Well, I remember when the Kimmel situation broke, and subsequent to that, there was the discussion publicly. It was reported that the View might be on the outs because of that the situation that you just described, Larry. And look, I think the FCC commissioner needs to take a hard regulatory look at all this. Is what the View conducting an in-kind contribution to the Democrat Party? That's really the question, the legal question that needs. I'm not a lawyer, but that's the legal question that I think that needs to be asked.
But David, I want to just real fast, because I know how much you revere talk radio, and I know that your dad, he was a frequent guest on this program and on Mark Levin and Rush Limbaugh and everything. Media Research Center was a big part of the growth of talk radio in America. Couldn't people make the same argument about our content? And because we don't want the FCC coming down on us for our ideologies.
Yes, they could. Now, I do. Let's pivot to like Colbert versus Maher, for example. Okay, Colbert gets fired, right? And one of his producers went out subsequent to his firing and said, "Well, we've been inviting conservatives to come on, and they just won't come on. So don't blame us." Mm-hmm. Whereas Maher has said the exact opposite. He's been inviting liberals to come on, and they won't come on Bill Maher's show, but any conservative that he invites will come on, no problem. Well, I don't necessarily believe the Colbert producer when he says we've been inviting conservatives and they won't come on. Mm-hmm. And if the View the View hasn't made that claim. Now, maybe they have something in writing that would suggest otherwise, but they're not making the claim that they're trying to invite conservatives. So if you are going to be a news program and then subsequently not invite Republicans and conservatives in a balanced way, then you really are just a television version of Blue Sky. Yeah. You really are just a Democrat echo chamber. And I think of all things, guys, Bill Maher has a better case to make that he's taken a balanced approach of all people who hate religion of all kinds.
It bothers me to have to agree to that. Yeah.
I know, right? But he does. He's got a better case to make that he's been more balanced in his approach on HBO, which doesn't have to do anything, right? Because it's cable and everything else. It doesn't have to adhere to any regulatory function. So it's sort of this odd world that we live in, and I think Brendan Carr needs to seriously take a look at The View and at a minimum urge ABC to eliminate The View out of its news programming apparatus.
Yeah, just a quick one here too. Jimmy Kimmel, he had his final show 2025, and he thanked his fans for getting him through a quote hard year, crying. I don't know, maybe they're crocodile tears, maybe not. I don't know. He said he was crying already. What did you make of the whole kerfuffle with Jimmy Kimmel and him potentially losing his show this year? Do you think we're going to see other efforts like that next year?
Well, just to remind the audience, a couple of days after Charlie Kirk is assassinated, Jimmy Kimmel goes on the air and makes this stupid joke suggesting that MAGA had spent the weekend denying that MAGA had anything to do with it. He either willfully lied or was grossly misinformed in a taped show, of all things. It's not like, even though it says live, he's not live.
It's true. The title of the show is a lie in and of itself. Yeah.
Right. So it's look, I don't have a ton of respect for Jimmy Kimmel. Again, he's one of the he's actually, I think, the lone guy out in Los Angeles. I guess Maher is the other one. God, look at the difference between those two shows. The only real two shows that are in Los Angeles, Bill Maher and Jimmy Kimmel. They couldn't be any different in terms of just their approach to how they want to present themselves to the viewers in any sort of a balanced way. Look, we called for Jimmy Kimmel to be dismissed because of the egregiousness of the lie, and he wants to fall back on the fact that maybe he was misinformed. Okay, well, there was nobody fired for misinforming him before he went on the air. So, Brendan Carr came down hard. The affiliates came down hard. There used to be an old adage. We talked about this when this went down, guys. You got to keep the affiliates happy, right? And these weren't affiliates in Timbuktu, Mississippi here.
Right.
This was Sinclair out of Illinois saying, "What are we doing?"
And right here in D.C. was Sinclair saying that. Yeah,
that's right.
We got to leave it here. David Bozell, though, always great to have your voice. Love Media Research Center, as you know, and we're looking for big things from your organization in the new year.
Absolutely. Thank you, David.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate
it's
it.
7:17. We got to go straight to Jamie Whitten now in the Hadid Traffic Opinion Traffic Center. Let's keep our sights set on the media as reporters in Washington, D.C. and teleprompter readers and other people who like to beat their chest over the free press and the First Amendment, even though they're really just political activists with a press pass. They're screaming bloody murder over CBS News' decision to pull a segment on 60 Minutes this past weekend. It related to the prison down in El Salvador, where many illegal immigrants who are criminals here in this country have been deported. And understand, the reason that they end up in El Salvador is because their home country doesn't want them. And a lot of them are gang members from Venezuela that were flown in here, by the way, by the Biden administration. I mean, literally flown in. The Biden administration had planes in Caracas that were loaded up by the Maduro regime with people that were then flown here to America. It's one of the biggest scandals of those 4 years, and that's saying something. Well, Barry Weiss, the new editor-in-chief of CBS News, who is described as, having some kind of conservative sympathies, but she's not. She's a New York Times, New York liberal, but she's just not as radical and as much of an activist as most people in the news business are. She pulled the segment. She put out a statement basically saying that she felt like the administration was not given the proper opportunity, and Tom Homan and Stephen Miller in particular, who were named for creating this policy in the piece, were not given ample opportunity to actually give their side of the story in their statement. She also believed that there wasn't enough emphasis put on investigating the individuals and the crimes they were guilty of to end up in. I mean, if you're doing a story about the conditions at the Sicat prison in El Salvador, which is populated by MS-13 gang members and other gang members, don't you owe it to your reader? Sure, if you're showing, look at these conditions, it's a horrible prison. Okay, but what did they do? What did they do to get sent there? And what are the net results in El Salvador? Because they've suddenly gotten tough on the violent crime that had plagued that nation for decades. Barry Weiss thought it wasn't a fair and balanced report, and she wants it to show some of the other perspective before it runs. Quoting her statement, "My job is to make sure that all stories we publish are the best they can be. Holding stories that aren't ready for whatever reason, that they lack sufficient context, say, or that they're missing critical voices happens every day in every newsroom. I look forward to airing this important piece when it's ready." And of course, people are screaming bloody murder, and they're saying,
they're calling it censorship.
She's a shill of the right. She's just doing this because the corporate overlords at CBS are trying to make good with the Trump administration for greedy corporate reasons. And hey, who knows what's going on behind closed doors in the boardrooms and in their relationships with this administration. But just on fundamental journalism, this report looks like it was not fair. It did not have all sides of the story, and it seems like an appropriate editorial decision to make sure that it does.
So what's interesting is people are starting to look at the woman behind this segment who put it on, Sharon Alfonsi.
Yes.
She's been with 60 Minutes for some years now, and this is not the first time that she's put up controversial new segments as part of the show. Back in, 2021, I believe it is, she did a segment pretty much bashing Governor, in 2021, yes, bashed Florida Governor Ron DeSantis for giving Publix a contract to distribute COVID vaccines, calling it a preferential. She set it up, the segment, as though this was preferential treatment to Publix because Publix had donated $100,000 to his campaign. Turns out she got criticism even from Democrats in the state because, they recognize that Publix is with over 800 locations in the state. Publix was the ideal place for vaccine donation. So right. She was making something out of nothing.
Yep.
Because she wanted to do a hit piece about someone she disagreed with,
That's
who,
right.
Surprise, surprise, is on the right.
She made it look like DeSantis pushed this toward the Publix grocery
as
stores.
Like a kickback in some way.
As a kickback, when it turns out, no, this was actually really good public health policy.
It was just strategic
right.
vaccine delivery. So she as a journalist, she is questionable to begin with. Yeah. And I think it's good that you have an editor who's willing to say, to make the final decision on these segments, so that these segments are not absolutely one-sided to paint a very negative picture. And then later on, if you're lucky, somewhere in the ethos is some retraction or maybe some other article that gets a little bit more context. But the horses are out of the barn at that point because of the shoddy reporting and the biased delivery of these segments.
That's right. Yeah, this reporter, by the way, also, remember, we made fun of this story, but it was ghoulish. She talked to the German government officials who were in charge of censoring people because of their Facebook posts. And she went along with the police as they were arresting somebody for liking a post on Facebook that the German government found objectionable. And these people were painted as some sort of, protectors of civil decorum instead of the obvious, censorious objectors
Talk
to
about
free
speech police.
Thank you. And now she's screaming that she's being censored. Yeah, exactly. It's almost like Barry Weiss is making 60 Minutes great again. It's 7:24.
All right. Is your HOA cracking down on your Christmas decorations? You're not alone. We've got a next guest who's going to talk more about this anti-Christian sentiment. Stay with us. It's O'Connor and Company at 7:30.
It's 7:36 now on O'Connor and Company. Thanks for tuning in here to our Christmas Eve extravaganza.
Yes.
The day before we celebrate the birth of our Lord. At 8:05, Steve Moore, economist and co-founder of Unleashed Prosperity, will join us for a little economic checkup. And at 8:35, Carla Andrasik, author of the new book, Stop Trying. That's coming up. It's Larry O'Connor with Patrice. I hope you never stop trying.
I can't. I've got a husband and 3 boys. I got to keep trying. I can't give up.
To paraphrase Yoda, you don't try, you do. Just saying.
Well,
that's Patrice
okay,
Onwuka.
I'll take that too.
I'm Larry O'Connor, and joining us now is Michael McDonald, spokesperson for the Catholic League, because as usual, the Catholic League stepping up and fighting on behalf of Christians who were just trying to celebrate Christmas the way it was meant to be celebrated, to honor the birth of Jesus Christ. Michael, thanks for joining us. Merry Christmas to you.
Hey, Merry Christmas, Larry. Great to be with you.
Well, we actually love stories about out-of-control homeowners associations going after people who are just trying to live their lives. And we talked about this home in Gaithersburg, Maryland, just a stone's throw away from our studio, where this family is racking up fine after fine after fine over their Christmas decorations that are outside the norms and standards of the CC&Rs. But at the centerpiece of the front lawn display is a manger scene, a creche, celebrating that holiest of moments when God was incarnate. Michael, people do have rights, don't they, on their own property when it comes to this sort of thing?
Yes, absolutely they do. And you're American. You should have no fear of taking advantage of those rights. And, first of the amendments is the right to freedom of religion. You get to express your own faith wherever you want. You should be able to live your faith in the public square. And it's, one of the things that makes us uniquely American, and we should be proud of that, and we should be celebrating it. And everyone, every religion should be defending the rights of other people to express their faith in the public square, because otherwise, you're going to get in trouble one day too. And that's why at the Catholic League, we have always gotten involved in these fights. Last year, we got a member up in upstate New York they had a problem where their co-op would only allow the display of a menorah and only put up a Christmas tree. And most people are. Christmas tree is not a religious symbol. The Supreme Court's made a ruling on that. That's not a religious symbol. The menorah is. And this one member of the Catholic League, he wanted, hey, how about we keep it fair and balanced? Can we also put up a nativity scene? No, we're never going to do that. So we got involved. Now, these people decided to just throw out both. We're not going to have any decorations. So that inspired us this year to send out a letter to over 2,000 homeowners association management companies. Put them on notice, hey, please let people celebrate Christmas the way it was intended to be celebrated. They have rights, and you better respect them.
That's right. And I think what's so interesting, bringing it to a local story in our area, is here in Maryland, a Germantown family, they've been fined $50 a day by their HOA. I think it's up to $650 and counting every week they don't take down their celebrations, which features lights. They do have a nativity scene as well, not on their lawn, but actually in their garden. And the HOA apparently has not enforced this rule against anyone else but this family who's relatively new to the area. Whether their ethnicity plays a role is another whole story. What kind of response have you received to your letters to these HOAs? I mean, to me, it seems like if this is my property, my land, my home, that the HOA shouldn't be able to infringe so deeply into something as much as your religious worship on your property.
Yeah, that's a great point. And, it'd be interesting to see if this family, if they had, like Frosty the Snowman up, if they would be getting the same amount of flack from their HOA.
Yeah.
But by and large, we've actually had mostly good responses.
Okay.
The complaints from our members are down this year, which is good. We actually did get a couple of emails of just people saying, acknowledge. I mean, the Catholic League, we have a bit of a reputation that when we hit hard. So people tend to be, okay, we're on notice. But interestingly enough, we had only one complaint this year, and it was from the same people from last year that tried pulling the exact same nonsense this year. And God bless the member that we helped last year. Like, we're done with this place. They moved on, so they thought they'd get away with it again. They're like, okay, well, those people left. We can just go back to it. No one's going to rat us out. And thank God we had another beautiful member in that building call us back up and say, hey, they're doing it again. And so we got involved, and it was a new management company this year. They're a little bit more gun-shy, like, we're taking it down as soon as they got our email. But they decided not to get back to us. At least the people last year had the courtesy to get back. But by and large, the letter was very strong, well-received. Our members loved it. They thanked us very much. And if any of your listeners are interested, check out our website, CatholicLeague.org. Become a member, and let us know if you're having problems with people infringing upon your rights. Let us know. We'll get involved. We're not afraid of getting into these fights.
Excellent. Great. And that's why we love you guys. We really do. And it's a good time of year to remember that we do have these rights. You said in the public square, obviously, yes, but also especially on our private property,
yes,
where homeowner associations just start to become maniacs. That said, don't make the lights too bright. I mean, some of us are trying to sleep.
I'm all for it. I'm all for it. As bright as you want. Light up baby Jesus, right?
If you live near
right,
Patrice, go ahead and keep. I
love the baby. That. Light up baby Jesus. My 2-year-old, she was going crazy this morning because she doesn't understand the concept of time. She doesn't understand she has to wait 2 more days for the presents under the tree. But this is a magical time of year. We should be remembering the birth of our Lord and Savior, and light should help. I think you should be tasteful about it. Be tasteful as you can be, and definitely put Jesus at the center of things. Don't just say like, "Oh, I put up a snowman. It's Christmas." No,
but,
sure.
And I don't want to see one of those inflatable nativity scenes either. Jesus should not look like he's going to float away at some point. Although I guess in the Ascension he did. All right, we'll leave it there. Michael McDonald, we got to leave it. Thank you so much
Michael.
for joining us. Merry Christmas.
Great to have you.
Thanks, guys. Merry Christmas.
Yes, that's CatholicLeague.org. If you're having a fight with your neighbors or with your local government or the dreaded homeowners association, spawn of Satan, go to CatholicLeague.org and get that info. It's 7:43. Coming up, we're going to give you a recipe for your Christmas monkey brain soup. But first, it's 7:45. Only half kidding. 7:45, WMAL traffic and weather every 10 minutes. First on the fives with Jamie Whitten in the Hadid Carpet Cleaning Traffic Center. You'll just have to listen, Jamie, to understand what I'm talking about.
No, go. Oh, man. All right, everyone's...
I teased the audience with the suggestion of a recipe for monkey brain soup, so obviously it's time for critter news. Patrice Onwuka.
Yes, unfortunately.
The Christmas edition. This is also a bit of a travel advisory, too. So many people heading to the airport either today or tomorrow to go visit loved ones, and let this be a, warning for you. Don't try to take stuff onto a plane that you're not supposed to take onto a plane. Just ask these travelers from Congo who were trying to enter the country through O'Hare Airport in Chicago. They thought they were bringing some local delicacies from their homeland and bring it here to America to celebrate Christmas the way, people in the old country would celebrate. You're so disgusted by this.
I am.
In the passenger suitcase were some things that you probably shouldn't bring in. Like, for instance, 11 pounds of beans, which normally, I guess, would be okay.
That should be fine.
Well, but when you inspect the package of the beans, there were some other stowaways in there. Lots of pests and critters and insects swarming around those beans.
Well, there are some people who think we should be eating more insects to save the planet for climate change.
We'll have to get through the monkeys first, because also in the suitcase, along with 17 pounds of unknown and unidentifiable plants, was 4 pounds of non-human primate meat. And that's such a benign description for what it really was. I've tweeted this on my social media account. It looks like a mummified monkey that has been shaved and then bundled like it's a Christmas turkey. And the head, by the way.
Well, I think it might be smoked.
Oh, God.
Well, I think it might be smoked, Larry, because, I go to some different markets, cultural markets, where the meat looks like that. It has like a char look to it. It is bundled up. But listen, no, do not smoke your monkey and then bring it into the United States. This is not Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, where they're serving chilled monkey brains for dessert.
They were smoking something with this. It is the most terrifying. It looks like some sort of voodoo experiment or ritual. It is awful.
You heard my initial reaction when I saw this. It's, oh my gosh.
You need to see it. I'm not sure, since it's a holiday week, who's running the WMAL social media account, but just go over to mine and Patrice's and you'll see this delightful looking creature that somebody packed into a suitcase and brought into Chicago thinking that they were going to have the greatest Christmas celebration. That's not how we eat monkey back where I come from. I didn't even know people ate monkey. Is that a thing? All right. Well, I guess we'll just leave it at that. That said, TSA has also put out via the
apparently in some countries. Listen.
We're going to have to reattach with Patrice there, as she is having a bit of a lag there. Go ahead. But in the meantime, the Washington Post now has put out a fantastic list of the 11 items most likely to get stopped by TSA, and we're up against it. All right, we'll try to get to these a little later today. Some of them are obvious, some not so much, so we'll try to get to them later today, or maybe tomorrow morning on our Christmas Eve special. Right now it's 7:53. By the way, if you are going to cook your monkey for Christmas dinner, make sure you get it to a really healthy 148 degrees. Otherwise, you could really risk having an upset stomach. You want your monkey cooked right. 7:53. 7:55. Now WMAL traffic and weather every 10 minutes. First on the fives. Here's Jamie Whitten. Glad we got that monkey off our back, Jamie. What's going on in the Hadid Carpet Cleaning Traffic Center?
Sure did. All right.
Coming up in our 8 o'clock hour, we'll talk about the economy of 2025 and what 2026 might look like, and about Bernie Sanders' latest crusade that could kill your favorite Christmas commercials. I'm not kidding. Is there anything that man won't ruin? Steve Moore joins us next.